Happy effing Friday, everybody. Sunwoo joins me to unpack a brutal real estate lesson, EMD going hard, an extension, then another, and suddenly you're chasing a deal that's chasing you. We talk sunk costs, tunnel vision, and the rules that stop the bleeding. Let's go. Oh, dang it. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Today I'm joined by Sunwoo of Southern California. Why don't you go ahead and say hi and tell us what you're all about?
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Sunwoo. I'm in Los Angeles and I'm developing affordable housing here in using an infill-lot strategy. Yeah, so it's been great.
Tell me more about the affordable housing stuff. We're trying to do something similar in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically part of a mission that I have to create more housing for youth transitioning out of foster, seniors, um, and just people who are maybe in the transitions need a second chance. Um, I've always kind of been obsessed with building housing. I think because I had housing insecurity growing up, and it's what drove me to get into construction, and to just really learn how hands-on DIY how to build my own house if I wanted. I felt really empowered by doing that, and then just learning how to scale that. It felt like, okay, this is kind of my mission, and I was learning investing wise, I was learning about wholesale a little bit. And as I was talking to some distressed sellers, even folks who wanted to stay and I could help them stay and keep their house, a big problem was they were older and they were aging in a way that they couldn't age in place.
Mm.
And that just really kind of galvanized me to be like, I need to find places for these folks to go, and just enjoy a better quality of life so people could live longer, not just be kind of warehoused at, like, a facility, but actually kind of as you graduate and your body changes, like move into a place where you can thrive and still have a very active, meaningful life well into, your your twilight years. So that's kind of my mission. Yeah.
Really maintain some dignity as you get older.
Yeah, I started researching a bunch of communities that are affordable for 55 plus and like compared the model. And the reason I was doing that was partially to find my mom a place. And I found her a place with and my aunts as well. And what was cool about it is it offered below market housing. Everyone bought their unit. It's a housing corporation. They bought their share, which was their unit. And then the amenities were pretty reasonable. At the time she moved in, they were under $500. And amenities were nice. It's like security, landscaping, but also like clubhouses, like religious spaces, like a golf course, cinema, like all kinds of stuff, right? Really great space. And so I realized like that was kind of like the light bulb moment, like, oh, this can exist, right? Doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. So yeah, so that's kind of set me on that trajectory. And she moved into that in 2008, which I found ironic because 2008 was when everyone was like kind of struggling and a lot of people were
Right.
losing their house, right? It was a lot
Yep.
of like transfer of wealth. And that was the year that she, for the first time, bought a place. And I just couldn't help but
Interesting.
notice, like, wow, so many different outcomes for people based on these types of opportunities existing. And so I just wanted to kind of create that. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, that was a very challenging time for very many people. Moving into real estate, I mean, maybe it actually helped set her up well. Right? I know that if you can get it at a cheap price to begin with, and then you can ride it on the way up.
Yeah.
Maybe if, maybe you can keep going that way, right? And just
Yeah.
keep riding the rocket.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's lucrative as a developer. Like, it's the silver tsunami. It's going to be a huge demand. So,
Right.
it's been fun and unraveling the strategy and actually trying to make the rubber hit the road and see how it works. So,
Well, I hear there's some older folks in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I think there's yeah, I think they're coming there. It's a new wave maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Development, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that down here. We're actually doing a maybe a tangentially related thing with building affordable multi-housing, multifamily housing, partnering with churches because a state law passed here in 2023 that was amended in 2025 to allow churches to build on their property, build affordable housing on their property. So yeah, it's there's a lot of underserved people, lots of
Yeah.
demographics, and we have a big housing crisis, as you do in Southern California as well.
Yeah, and the nice thing is churches get the tax exemption, but,
Right.
people don't know that, here I'm doing development now, that we'll get a welfare tax exemption credit for going 100% affordable. So our property taxes here in California about 1.25% on your cost basis. Because of this credit, it knocks off a point. So it's really cool. It's really cool to make it, investor friendly, developer friendly. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you got your start through construction. How did
Yeah.
you get into that? And then what was the path like from construction to development?
Yeah, I was waiting tables in the Bay Area. I just kind of lost like late teens and not lost. I was enjoying being lost. I was like, enjoying just my life. And I still wanted like something that like a skill set that no one could kind of take away from me. That's just kind of where I was at the time. And like I said, I was really motivated by like, building a home for myself. Luckily, I had a buddy who was like, "Hey, the union is recruiting. Come down and sign up with me. They'll pay 3 months of your dues. They'll give you tools, and they'll help you find your first gig." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know anything about building though." And they're like, "No, no, no. It's an apprenticeship. You don't have to know. That's the cool thing about it. You have to know anything. They'll teach you." And I was like, "Okay." And at the time, they were paying pretty good, for what I was making. It was like, I think $18.25 an hour, which was like great at the time for me.
Yeah.
It was like punk rock money, beer money galore. And then it had Benny's. So I was like, okay, great. And I kind of checked all the boxes. So that's how I got in, and I loved it. I loved the physicality of it. I love, like, in a day's work, just standing back and seeing what you had done, and, I quickly excelled and then started, running a small crew, and, you kinda just build, your leadership skills, and then, I got asked to start running a small job, so I was, like, doing well in the career. And, yeah, a general contractor asked me to kinda run some of their more extensive quality programs, so just kind of skyrocketed from there. So
Awesome.
it just exposed me to really creative projects, really satisfying projects, and gave me a lot of stability and confidence. Um, so it was great, yeah, and then I could parlay those skills into um, you know, I could afford a place and live and flip it and then kinda leverage that and get another place, so I was doing well, and at the time, I
Nice.
wasn't married or anything, so my buddies just were living in the house and house hacking, and so
Perfect.
it made a lot of sense, and it helped me grow as an investor. Yeah.
Then what was the first outside investment or first outside development job?
So that came from, um, foreclosure lead. And this woman, she and I hit it off. She agreed to sell me her place, and the place was zoned for a duplex. She just had a house, a single family house on it. And it was zoned for a duplex. And in California, ADU laws are really great here. And so by right, with that zoning, I could build two additional ADUs. So I could turn that single family lot into a quadplex, essentially.
Wow. Nice.
Yes. So, we I acquired the property, and actually she carried back some money because she couldn't make
Perfect.
ends meet. So I was like, "Here, carry back some money. I'll turn you into an investor in this deal." And so that's been great. She brings in an extra 1,200 bucks a month, and it helps my performa. Yeah, so that was it. And yeah, I got the bug from there. It was just really satisfying. I ended up kind of acquiring more properties along that street because of it. So yeah, it's been kind of building momentum on its own and generating a lot of interest. So it's been good.
And now you're going to own the whole street.
That is the plan. Yeah, actually, that
Nice.
is the plan.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your
So,
favorite aspect of development and building?
um, it is, it's just so ambitious. You just have to understand the economic environment really causes you to be aware of risks because with development, at least the way that I'm financing it, I have partners and a lot of investors. So I have to be, at the end of the day, very responsible with kind of the choices that are made on the operation side and meeting some of the goals so that everyone gets their returns and try to just like make it as smooth as possible so we can do it again and again and again. But not like just knowing how to anticipate um, you know things outside of my control with pricing, labor shortages or ice raids or other things that are impacting kind of our ability to build things. That's definitely something that, I wake up to and I love facing that challenge. I think it's forged a lot more growth in my team. We're communicating on a much more like human to human level, like how to keep each other safe at work is taking on a different meaning. And so I love that, and then you get to sharpen up your investor side, really getting into the numbers, improving all of your costs so that you can just get more and more return on investment. And that's always fun. So learning things about the welfare tax credit incentive, for example, is huge. Um, and I think it's just an exciting time in Los Angeles to be a developer
Hmm.
because we
Why?
have politically, the mayor is really pro affordable housing. So she's relaxed and streamlined a lot of the bureaucracy to
Interesting.
allow, yeah, it's been wonderful kind of coming up in development when I am now in this environment. Plan check is very smooth. I mean, sure, we have a bottleneck because now with the wildfires, there's been obviously more going on with planning, but yeah, it's been great. And then on a state level, like they've been enacting a lot of bonuses, density bonuses tied to all these transit um bonds that have kind of shaped up, and so they're trying to master plan for density in a way where for example, I have a deal now. um, by right, I should only be able to build 5 units, but because of where it sits next to high quality, like mass transit, they said build as many units as you want.
Whoa. Like
Yeah,
height
so
requirements or anything?
so um so by right I can do 45 feet high plus their bonus an extra 33 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And then for every other like incentive I give the community, like let's say a community center, childcare, or something like that, I get an extra 11 feet.
Dang. So
So,
how big are you going? Like, is this like a 100,000 square foot building, 200,000 square foot building?
no, because it's still like I want to be thoughtful to the neighborhood, the impact of just that sheer amount of presence.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do 48 units, 6 stories, and create a senior rec room. That's gonna be a flex space, so it could be like a workspace as well. And then the neighbor beside me, He and I are buddies at this point, and he wants to do the same thing on his lot, which is identical in size and zoning. So we'll just phase it into the same project over there. That's like literally what I mean. Everyone's just kind of coming out of the woodworks, really embracing it. Um, so it's been great, and I think also, there's choices that I have to make around height relative to fire life safety. So you can only if you go into 6 stories, let's say that's a mid rise, you can build, you know, with a certain building type. If I go into high rise, now I have to build in a completely different way and account for a lot of different things. Fire is a big deal here in California.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a mixed use building? Is that going to be 100% affordable?
It's gonna
What
be
are you thinking about?
100% affordable. Yeah, 100% affordable. The only mixed use aspect will be on the ground level, the rec room that I was mentioning, but it's fine. We're gonna just have ground level parking structure, lobby, circulation area, and then this rec room, maybe a
Are you
manager.
required to use a certain percentage of the area median income? Like what's
Yeah,
considered affordable housing?
yeah. So here, this is gonna be deed restricted at 80% of a average area median income. So for a single person, that's about $84,500. Because I'm doing this all with private funds and my investors, so I'm not taking grants or bonds or LIHTC credits or anything like that. It's not tied to HUD standards around vouchers and X percent being extremely low income, very low income, moderate income. It's sort of easier that way. So I just have to do that 80% AMI income cap for a single person. For a couple, it would be about $130,000 income max, which is fine. So, like, on one hand, I'm getting it's still tied to that rent index from HUD. So, a one bedroom I can charge today 2120 for it, but market rate, that same unit could probably rent for close to 3 grand. So there's that trade-off, but I'm getting more units and I'm providing just more housing, and it can be for seniors who I'm passionate about, but it can also be just workforce housing. So it's pretty cool.
That's great. What's your least favorite aspect of development? What's been challenging?
Um, it's really hard to raise money right now. Like investors are a little like risk off. They're a little scared. I guess it's risk on. They're a little nervous about what's happening. So that's hard, I'm really itching to grow and scale quickly, and so capital is the bottleneck for me.
Do you
Um,
find do you find your investors are a little sour on California, just generally?
my investors are not. I mean, it's an easy qualifier. A lot of people are like, "Oh, absolutely not, California, no, thank you," and that's fine. Like, I'd actually rather invest with people who are from California because they understand all the great benefits as far as appreciation goes. When I was buying traditionally, just saving up for my down payment, buying a house, waiting a few years, refinancing, buying another, my first home, I was able to, it doubled in value in 2.5 years.
Crazy. I mean,
Crazy.
that is wild.
It's crazy. So it's like, it's just different. There's a lot of regulation. Sure. There's a lot of like trade-offs with maybe rent control or, right, compliance here, but the appreciation is different here. I started buying, I made a mistake of buying in other states, not realizing that in other states, properties reassessed every year. That's not what happens in California. Once you buy it, you're locked in. But in other places, it's just reassessed. So, that's just an unknown. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
it's all
like other states do like homestead stuff where if you file that this is your homestead, your domicile, then they'll cap the increase of the assessment, but they still increase it
it is still increasing. And so, and some people who are in those states, they figured it out. They're like, that's no problem. I baked that in. But for me, I don't know anything about it. I feel like it's the same for investors who don't understand California. So, it's all good. Like there's plenty of people here who are okay with investing. I'm kind of learning how to build my network of high net worth investors. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep plugging along and seeing what happens. And then you get these whales that come by, and I'm like, they're speaking a different language to me, so
for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
learning
I
that
mean, well,
piece.
you found a pretty amazing community, right? Being in Owners Club. How did you get there?
Um, I learned about Pace in 2022 just from YouTube. I happened to be watching something about Airbnb arbitrage, and he was like a guest on somebody else's podcast, and so I was like, "Oh, this guy is talking about something that, like, I sort of have been doing with my family and friends." We just didn't call it creative financing, you know what I mean? Just, like, recirculating money and taking on each other's loans or leases, you know? And so I was like, "Okay, that's what it is. I like this guy." So I
Yeah.
joined the sub 2 community, and that was wonderful. It really helped me a lot with sales techniques and just, like, financial planning. It's, like, unreal the number of unlocks that I've had just in sub 2. And when they announced this thing called Owners Club, which is kind of a club within either the sub 2 or Gator top tier TC community, I was like, "Okay, yeah, I need to do that because I'm now realizing I'm the CEO of IO." I'm now I'm fully invested in knowing I'm an entrepreneur and I have this bigger
Amazing.
mission here, right? So I kind of need to incubate into something. So that's what Owner Club has been for me, and it's been good. And I think that's just like the leveling up that I needed to do and continue to do.
Yeah, for sure. I've had some people ask like, "Hey, is the ROI there? Is the ROI there?" And I've been reframing it as relationships on investment, and by far the best investment I've ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just nice being part of almost like a cohort. And so we're seeing each other kind of evolve as well. So that's kind of nice. The momentum factor, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with 20 years, you said you've been doing construction,
Yeah.
building, development for 20 years.
Development's a little newer. Construction for 20 years, development just a
Okay.
few years. Yeah.
Well, with 20 years under your belt, you certainly have had to get some battle scars over that time. What's been the greatest mistake?
Well, the greatest mistake by far was pretty recent. Um, I think, as I got into development, I needed to partner with people with experience, right? Um, I don't regret that at all. Like everyone should absolutely partner and you know piggyback and just leverage each other's skills. So that was good. Um, with the partner that I chose, for the most part, is great. But the way we divided the work and the concept of like tasks and responsibilities, I think just made me turn away from some of the details of the lending and the negotiations that were going on behind, back channeling. And so we were in a deal, and it was a great deal on paper, but there were a few things that my spidey sense went up.
Some
The
red
sellers
flags.
were, yeah, it was mainly like the sellers were very savvy, right? They were very savvy, and they really had this other goal of having the most expensive, like setting the bar for comps, sales comps in this area, really like very LA, like we own X percent of the West Side, like they're just like full of
Nice.
themselves. But it was my it was my partner's deal. It was he brokered it, and we kind of had this tacit thing like if I acquire the lead or bring the deal, then it kind of like I take ownership of that whole acquisition process, and same with him. So he brought this deal and I didn't like it, and then the other part about the seller that I didn't like is, they wanted the money to go hard right away, the
Mm.
EMD. And, um, I remember us having a discussion about that, um, and my partner was just so convicted, like, "Don't worry, this is a grand slam." um, and just had everything dialed in on paper for me to deal with my objections or anything that I might have been unsettled about. And to me, I was at that phase where I was like, I want to have a partner that trusts in me, and I want to be able to trust in them. So I was like, okay, I trust your numbers, but I should have done my own due diligence. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have made it so, I guess, emotional, about an emotional investment like this. If I agree to all your terms, then that means I'm supporting you, right? There's just like a false dichotomy there. So I was like, okay, that was my mistake, right? So we're going ahead, and he's raising money, and he's doing his thing, and that was part of our agreement. Like he was going to manage kind of the fundraising and investing relations, and I was going to manage kind of the build out, the buyout strategy, and do the due diligence on the property itself, right?
Mm.
So we've got at risk capital, we've sunk our EMD. I'm putting in money, getting survey and a lot of sweat equity with bids and just consultant reports.
And how
So
big
I'm
was this
over
project?
it wasn't like huge. It was like altogether like an $8 million project. It was it was like a $3.5 million acquisition price on existing 8 units, and then the play was going to build 4 units in the back. And because it was fully vacant, it would be two phases, a quick flip of the units, like lipstick, get it rented up. Is really close to West LA's veteran administration campus. So we already had relationships with them to lease it up to vets. So I mean, there's so many like pluses about the deal. And then phase two would be building these single units in the back. So, I'm just in love with the building process. I'm just like dialed in, fixated on that part. I'm just trusting him with the negotiations with the seller and the investment capital raise. Yeah, I think that was the overarching lesson. Like, you just can't turn off parts of your business. You have to, a true partnership, you're kind of transparent with each other and checking in and being honest, when you see like, oh, maybe I made a mistake here or something like that. And I don't know
So
that
what was the fallout? Like, did the deal go sideways? Did it fall apart? Did you
yeah, it
lose
fell
out on the
apart.
EMD?
Oh, yeah, we lost the MBA because first it was like, okay, we weren't going to hit our first date to close. So he was like, okay, let's negotiate an extension. I'm this close. He had maybe 70% of the funds committed. So I was like, are you sure you feel good about this? And he was like, yes, yes, yes. Don't worry about it. And I was away. I was on a retreat. I was on an owners club retreat. And I was like having a hard time, like, checking in with him, getting on top of the things. So I was like, okay, I trust you. Go ahead. Kept saying that over and over. I trust you. I trust you. Um, he's like, okay, so listen, they'll give us an extension, 20 days. We just need to put in 30 grand more EMD, non-refundable. I was like, well, give me some numbers. What are we thinking? What's the probability? How many investors are you warmed up? How many are ready to close? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
And he's like, no, we got it. It's so good. We've got this one overseas investor. He's all over it. He just needs time to vet the deal. La, 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 la. He's a whale. He's a whale." I was like, "Okay. All right. You got the money to cover it? I got the money. Don't worry. I got a PML who's going to help us out."
Oof.
Yeah. And then that date comes and goes, and he's like, "They were so close to committing, but, they backed out last minute, but don't worry, I got another guy. Don't worry, I got another guy, and they'll give us another extension for another, 40 grand."
Oof.
So so at that point, you're at and I used to trade options when I was younger, and I was like,
Just
you
as a
have,
side
like
hobby.
yeah, just as a side thing, it's a pandemic thing, everyone was trading, right? So I was just like, "Okay, look, I used to have rules, like my risk tolerance rules. Like you just have to be like a robot at a certain point. And you're like, this is my break even, or even if I have to cut losses or cut the deal, cut the
Mhm.
trade, it's done, and you can't think twice about it." And in hindsight, I wish I could get into that headspace with him because he was at that point just so obsessed and just like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And a real part, like my failure as a real partner was to drag him out and be like, like, come on, man, like cut your losses. Like what
Yeah.
is this about? Is this an ego thing? What's going on here? Right? Because it is a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. It's not the most money anyone's lost on a deal. So, try to have perspective. But yeah, I think that I regret not being able to do that for my partner and just kind of
Mm.
playing a little bit kind of closer and just getting into the whole like the thing that we do when we're such visionaries and we're so optimistic almost that we need to have somebody whose role it is to do the gut check, to do the stress test, to
Mhm.
double check it, to go down the other rabbit hole of all the things that could go wrong. It's almost like that, you know, Charlie Unger's like the framework he does of like all the reasons why this is a bad deal, right? And I should have been that, and I think that that's my regret is like, okay, when you get two super like high achieving, optimistic, motivated people, one of you's got to agree at a certain point just to do the the what if everything goes to shit.
For
Um,
sure. Yep.
yeah,
Devil's
exercise.
advocate, at least.
Yeah, so in the end, yeah, obviously the second extension came and gone, and at that
Ugh.
point, I was like, and by then, a lot of the other things too with the back channel negotiations, like some of these investor whales or whatever, they were like eking out better terms for themselves. And so I kind of got
Mhm.
lost in me and his agreement. And so when I heard the revised terms for one of the later investors, I was like, if you take that deal, I'm out. And I think that that was a big riff. Sorry, there's my dog. I think that was a big riff in our relationship. So yeah, I think like, me being able to say to him like, well, if you take this deal, I'm out. That was the first time that I noticed gave me a look where he was like realized like there's probably been about 100 things that he hasn't run by me that he should have up until that point, you
Mhm.
know? So I think that, like the lesson for me is, hey, if I know this is a tough seller, I need to lock in with my partner and we need to be a lot more in sync and united. And I need to be able to do the risks exercises that I was mentioning and just stick to my guns of when to cut a deal.
So what was the recovery of that? And then, uh, what advice would you give to an investor that finds themselves in a similar situation?
Um, I mean, the recovery to me is that it's just all silver lining recovery. Obviously, we just take it on the chin. We lost a lot of money, but
Did you
in
guys keep
compare
working together?
yeah, we are in deals together now, so we have to figure out how to maintain, our working relationship, knowing that now the dynamic's different.
Mhm.
And I had to have a really tough conversation about trust and about why, all the things in hindsight that, there should have been more transparency about. And I had to also step up and say, I also shouldn't have put so much just on your plate because maybe you were drowning and that added the pressure for you to perform and you didn't want to let me down and that type of thing, right? So, there's a lot of that. And that's just going to take time. And we decided not to do any deals for a while. We wait to see how the deals that we're in, we just lock in and make sure that those are successful. Because to be honest, that was another aspect of it because he was so obsessed about this acquisition. He was kind of slacking in the other department. So it was good kind of a recalibration, like, okay, our capacity, you and I's capacity, just on our communication style is just what we're already in. Hey, if we do well and we can grow our capacity, great. We have to dig ourselves out of the hole of the money we lost first and just really reconcile and audit that, you know? Um, and then, time heals and so who knows? Maybe we'll work together again, right? Um, you can't just always bail when everything doesn't go exactly per plan, but you
True.
can learn like, okay, there are really specific things that could have made this go well. And for the most part, it was important for me to be able to step away from that partnership too, because I ended up looking at new deals and taking instead of delegating it to somebody like him, I dug into opportunities more with his lens, and I bagged like the one that I was describing, right?
Mm,
It's funny, that deal originally very early on, I brought it to him just to say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" He wrote it off.
hmm.
And so I put it on the back burner, but kind of when we kind of had that moment where I severed myself and I was like, let me go back and look at all the things that I just wrote off because I trusted him. Like, oh, it didn't pass his sniff test. And I went back and I realized there was just a whole lot of other layers to deals that he didn't know about. And now I bagged a 48 unit deal that's gonna be ridiculous. The returns
Yeah,
are
it's amazing.
insane. So it was good, it's good. It's just growth minds. It's just like I just learned, I got better. It was uncomfortable, just like everything everyone says, you gotta get uncomfortable. It was
Oh,
very
yeah, for sure.
uncomfortable losing that much money,
No doubt.
but it was also uncomfortable me spending time figuring out how can I forgive this person? How can I forgive myself? And how can I not let it slow me down? So that's kind of it.
That's
Yeah.
great. If you could rewind, like what advice would you give yourself before this project started?
Um, you know, I would say if you're gonna delegate certain things, um, under the auspices of it being efficient or better, use of managing time and energy, um, really make sure that that is what it is and not you wanting to delegate things that are things you're insecure about.
Mm,
you know? So maybe I was insecure about going up against a seller that's got this kind of arrogant, like real cutthroatiness to them, right? That was probably why I was like, "Yeah, I'll let you handle that one, right? And that's
yeah,
not cool.
choosing what's comfortable over what actually might lead to growth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I think cherry picking what you want in a partnership is not always possible. And
That's probably
so
a fine line there between leaning into things that are like, this is my wheelhouse, these are my strengths, and those are your strengths. Between that and this makes me uncomfortable, and I could grow there, and I would actually learn a lot if I would lean into it, but I'm avoiding it because it's scary or unknown or whatever.
yeah. And when you do that, and what I did is giving away a lot of my power, my decision making. And so if you start doing that and the dynamics shift, and if you're in a partnership and it's 50-50, is it? Is it 50-50? So, yeah, I think, we're all learning how to work in a lot of different types of JVs or different partnerships all the time. And so, I think I just want to be able to know in every aspect of a transaction, a deal, a development, a process, I want to know why I made the decisions I made, every step along the way and feel good about the decisions I made for good or bad, whether the outcomes were what I wanted or not. So that's the most important thing.
That's excellent advice. That's a good thing for us all to strive towards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if people wanted to follow along with your story, maybe partner, people, you got bird dogs out there, they got land, maybe that they can partner with you for a development project. Where should people find you or where follow along with your story?
Yeah, if you go to iosunwoo.com, that's my landing page. It's a great way to follow me, submit a lead, figure out what my buy box is, schedule time on my calendar. It's the easiest place to go. You can also get on any of my socials. It's always at iosunu. So Instagram, YouTube, find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, all of it. So
Great.
yeah, please reach out. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and joining me and having a conversation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it's good to talk about these things out in the open because there's no shame in it. We're all learning and getting better. So
Yeah, I mean that's the premise of this show is everyone makes mistakes, but we all have a lot to learn from each other. So thank you for coming on and sharing your regret with that and how you recovered from it. And I think that we can all remember to lean into the things that are uncomfortable instead of maybe avoiding them.
yep, well said.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right, take care.